Hey guys, Crystal here at Crystal's Crafties. Today's tutorial, I want to show you how to make these really fun designs that have these offsets or borders or outlines that have that fun pattern and design in them, and then the words are like these big chunky fun, just really fun designs. Sometimes they've got the dots on the letter, sometimes they're surrounding the whole design. But anyways, this is a fun one. We're not going to do this in Canva. This is something that's just not very easily done in Canva, so we are going to hop over into Inkscape to get this done. Okay, so Inkscape. I'm going to start with this Merry Christmas one. Inkscape is design software that you download onto your computer. It is free. And I don't mean like get a free trial or, subscription or whatever. I mean, it's free. You go to inkscape.org and you download it on your computer and it is free. I have another tutorial that will show you how to download it and set it up. I will link to that. I will link to inkscape.org. I will say, a lot of times it's going to look drastically different. These icons can be completely different. They can be different colors. They can be different shapes. But they're all going to be the same features. Just make sure you're hovering and you're seeing select and transform. We're going to use that one a lot. Edit path by node. We're going to use that a lot. Create and edit text objects. We're going to use that a lot. And then draw Bezier curves. We're going to use that. So make sure that you are hovering over your icons here to make sure you're getting the right icon. Okay guys, stick with me on this one. I'm going to move fast because there's a lot to cover. You might need to rewind, pause, try things over and over again, but I will go over every single step that you need to do to get these designs looking perfect. The first thing is we want to size our design. When you open your first Inkscape page, it will probably be sized to a standard 8.5 by 11 paper. We need to change this for graphic design. Like everything else, we want 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels. So come to File, Document Properties, change this to pixels, and make it 2000 by 2000. Then you can hit Enter, close that out, and your square will be, your white space will be 2000 by 2000 pixels. Okay, the next thing for these fun text designs is to get the fun text. Okay, Inkscape does not have its own font. It's software, like I said, so it works off of whatever is in your computer. Whatever fonts you have installed on your computer is what Inkscape will have. So for this one, this font is, can't remember. Let me see here. If I click into my text tool, it's called, it is not Chunky Retro. It is Scary Vibes. And I got that, of course, from Creative Fabrica. You just come into Creative Fabrica, you hit this fonts, you come and search for whatever type of font you want, scroll through, get some fabulous fonts, get them for free if you have your subscription, or get 10 for free with a subscription trial. I will link to all of that in the video description. Get some great fonts, download them, and install them on your computer. Then you can start using them in Inkscape. Okay, so I'm going to make this smaller so we can use it as a reference, but I can design here on the same page and you'll see everything that I'm doing. Okay, the first thing we did was size our design. The next thing we need to do while we have this selector tool is lock our screen. Hit this little lock button and lock it up so that whenever you're sizing anything, it stays within proportion. This option is only available to you if you have this tool selected. If I come and select this tool, all of this stuff up here changed. If I select this tool, again, more changes. So while you have your cursor, your select and transform objects tool selected, lock your screen. Now let's go get that text. I'm going to click my text tool and I'm just going to click, you see how my cursor now has that A, I know I'm in my text tool. I'm just going to click on the screen to bring up the cursor and I'm going to type Mary. And I don't want to hit enter and type the next line. I want to actually click down here and start a new line, and then I can type Christmas. Okay. Now I'm done with my text. If I click anywhere else, I'm just going to get more cursors on my screen, right? I need to come back to my select tool. I can grab these guys. I'm going to draw a box around both of them to select them both and make them big enough to see. Okay, we're getting started. We're looking good. I'm just going to kind of align it. There are alignment tools. I have mine over here on my little quick menu. It's the align and distribute. If you don't see it over here on your right, and you probably won't if you've never worked at Canva before, then you can just click this little down arrow. Even if there's just one thing over here, just come click this down arrow and it's going to give you all these different options. You can then click align and distribute and it will pop up there for you. This got a little big. I'm going to make that small again. So once you've got your align and distribute, you can drag a box around those and you can center them. As you can see, I did not have them centered. And that way you know you've got everything good to go there. Okay, so we have inserted our text, but it is just that, it is text. We need to turn it into a path. When you're working in Inkscape, everything has to be a path. Inkscape is vector software. It actually creates SVG files. And when you're trying to manipulate things and add all these fun things that we're going to add, you just can't do it with text. You have to have a path. Each of these letters needs to be its own separate path. So the way we're going to do that is we have selected our first word, Mary. We're just going to come to path and object to path. And now down here it says a group of 5 objects instead of text. If we click on Christmas, it still says text. Let's make it a path. So path, object to path, and now we have a group of 9 objects. What that means is I can triple click into that and each letter is individual. Okay, it's all together, but I'm going to click once more and then once more quickly. If you triple click, you can separate each of these out into their own path. And it says a path of 48 nodes. What's a node? If you click this tool, you get all these funky little squares and circles. That's how we manipulate everything. That's how you make things exactly precise in Inkscape and other vector type softwares. It's also what tells a machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette where to cut. All right, we took this text and we turned it into a path, and we've got all these individual little letters here. But we need to make this outline, right? Okay, before we go any further, we want to duplicate what we've done here because we're going to start manipulating all of this now, and we want to keep a copy of our original work. So, drag a box around everything, right click, duplicate. There are 2 of them here now. I'm just going to take this first one and drag it off to the side, stick it over there. I don't even need it right now. Let's work with this one. We want an outline around it. It's actually called an offset when you're working in programs like this. And what we want to do, oops, those got connected. Okay. Drag a box around everything that you've got here. And let's combine that path. Let's put it all back together as one. So we went to path and combine. So now I do not have individual letters. I have one big old path. If I look down here, I just have path. I don't have like 9 objects anymore. I have a path of 686 nodes. I'm going to use this path to make my offset. While it is selected, I've got my selector tool. I've got my words selected. I'm going to create that offset. You can come to path and outset, and it's going to show you that you have a shortcut of control and the right parenthesis, or command and the right parenthesis if you are on a Mac. So really what you want to do here is just with your word selected, you want to hold control and hit that right parenthesis. Do you see how it's getting bigger? Every time I hit the right parenthesis, it gets a little bit bigger. You just do it to whatever you think is going to be a good size. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to scroll this bar back over and get my word. Remember how it was all separated? I just want to make it a group really quick so I can move it all at once. So I've selected everything, object, group, and I'm actually going to turn it white. Here's my color selections down here. And now let's go stick it on top of these words and see if that looks like it's going to be a big enough outline. Yeah, that should actually be pretty good. So I'm going to move that back off to the side. But you'll notice in this design, that green layer back there doesn't have all these spaces in between it. It's more solid. Let's get rid of those spaces. Okay, so here's our offset. To get rid of all these little inner spaces, it's really, really easy. With our offset selected, we're going to come to path, break apart. Okay, it didn't work. It wants to see the nodes. I just hit my node tool and selected it again. Path, break apart. Now look, it filled in all those spaces. Before we move it, we need to weld all of that back together. We need to take those parts that we just broke apart and mash them in together. So we went to path and we did break apart and it gave us all these extra little nodes inside. Now we're going to path and union. All those nodes went away. If I take this and I stick it on top, I've got much more of what I'm looking for. Okay, if you're falling behind, just pause, go back and watch it again. I'm gonna move quick so that we can get this video done in some sort of a quick fashion. Okay, so here is our first offset. This one we're just gonna have be solid. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one green. Here's my green down here. There was my white. So you can see we've got the beginnings of this design, right? Fun, yay. Okay, now we need to make another offset that's really big so we can get that fun splattered polka dotted pattern in there. So I'm going to take the Mary and move it off. I'm going to duplicate my first offset, so I hit right click, duplicate. Now I'm done with that one. I'm going to move it off. And now I'm just going to do that offset thing a lot until I just get a real big chunky background. So while it's selected, control, right parenthesis. If it doesn't work, hit your nodes and do it again. And then you just do it over and over until you get a big old background. Now there are still some little nodes in here that I want to get rid of. So what do? Path, break apart, and then path, union, nodes disappeared. Awesome. Okay, so if I turn this, I'm going to turn it like this kind of burgundy for now, just so you can see how we are coming in. Okay, this is now on top. I need to move it to the bottom. Everything works in layers. So I'm going to select it. This is how you move everything up and down. I'm going to select this one, which will lower it all the way to the bottom. Okay, now I'll stick this in here, and I'll put this in here, and I can tell that's probably going to be big enough for a really fun pattern. Okay, let's go get the pattern. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to make your own pattern, but for this one, we are just going to use this fun little polka dotted pattern that I found on Creative Fabrica. I will link to that. You can go grab it. Try your free subscription so you can get it for free. I have already downloaded it onto my computer. So now I'm just going to come and upload it into my design. So I'm going to hit File and Import. I'm about to import a design. It's right there. You go find wherever you saved it to. If you are using this file, she has different file types. Make sure you're saving the JPG file type. If you save the PNG file type, it's not going to work. Okay, so here it is. Open. And it's really big, right? To reduce the size of my screen, I'm just going to hit the minus on my keyboard. And now I can get my handles and drag this down. And then I'll hit the plus on my keyboard to make it big again. Okay, so one of these is not going to be enough, but that's why we chose a repeating pattern. I will right click, duplicate, move that over. Okay, that will work. Select your first one, hold shift, select your second one. We're going to group these together so we can right click and we can group. Now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, so there's, you see my design back here, I need it to cover the whole design. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to send it to the back so I can kind of see what's going on here. I've got it selected. Send to the back. All right, that's looking good. I'm going to select both of these by drawing a box around them, or if you want, you can select your offset here and then hold shift and select your background, whatever you want to do, get them both selected. Then I want you to come to Object, Clip, Set Clip, and what? Look, just like that. You have that amazing background in there. Super cool, right? So now we just start layering things. I'm going to drag a box around everything. While I'm in my alignment tool, I'm just going to align horizontally and vertically so everything's in there. And that's the basics of the design. Now we just keep adding outlines so that we can get that other outline around it. So to do that, I'm going to select my words that are here. And instead of offsets, we're just going to add a stroke. So you want to use this tool. This is your fill and stroke tool. It will be up here in your toolbar. If not, remember, you're just going to click this little down arrow and go look for the fill and stroke tool. It will open for you. Now it has a fill on it already. Here's our fill. Our fill is white. We chose that from down here. We want to put a stroke on it. So click this next one that says stroke. Right now there is no stroke. It's an X. If you just click this first solid box, it's going to put that stroke on there. But holy bananas, that is not looking good. So we're going to come to stroke style. And here you can decrease or increase the size of that stroke. Let's just put it at 2. Okay, so that's looking like a pretty good stroke. Awesome. I'm going to move that off to the side. I'm going to put the same stroke on the green layer. So again, here's my fill and stroke menu. I want to click stroke. I want to turn it on by hitting that first solid box. Don't mess with any of these other ones right now. And then we need to put that at a 2 so that we are consistent. Yeah, it's looking good. Now this one is not going to let us do that because it's filled with that design, right? So we either have to make another offset so that we can get that stroke around it, or we just duplicate the one we've already got. We've already filled this with a pattern though, right? So if we duplicate it, you know, we're just going to get this same thing with a pattern, and we still can't add our stroke because it's got this pattern fill. It's just not letting us do that. So my options are, I can come up here and I can make a copy of this, and I can keep doing that offset until I get one the same size as this one. Or you can select your design here, Object. Now we went to Clip and Set Clip to put that design in it, right? Let's release the clip. Crazy, huh? Now I can just grab this and make a copy of it, which is what I should have done the first time. Duplicate. There we go. Now I'll put my clip back in. Okay. Object. I selected both of these. Object, Clip, Set Clip. There's my pretty design. Here is this, which I know is the exact same size because I duplicated it. And now I can put a stroke on it. And again, that stroke is too big. But I don't want it a 2. Let's see what a 3 does. Let's see here. Let me move that to the bottom. That might be good. Let me align both of these. I'm going to select both of those objects. Come into my alignment. I think I do want a little bit of a thicker. So I'm going to select this one again, come back into my stroke style, and let's maybe go for 3.5. That ought to be good. Okay. Align it. Awesome. Get these guys in here. Align everything. We are looking good. Group it all together. I hit Control G to group. And just like that, we've got the basics of that design here created again. All we need to do now is add the dots. Awesome, awesome. I'm going to increase the size of my screen here so you can see how these dots are going to come in. Now you can come and grab your circle tool over here. And if you hold Control while you drag, it's going to give you a perfect circle. Remember what I said? It remembers everything that you did previously. So I previously had this big, huge stroke on here. I gotta go turn it off now. So I'm in stroke. I don't want a stroke on that circle. I hit the X and that stroke gets turned off. And I want that circle to be red. So while it's selected, there it is, it's red. Yay. Now let me just throw it into the M so I can get the right size. Okay, I have two options here. I can right click, duplicate, and just start throwing these in free-handed. And you are welcome to do that if you want. Another option, I'm going to put that over to the side, is to use our Bezier tool. And we're going to draw inside of here with our tool. But it's not actually drawing. You're not going to keep your pen held down. You're going to make a click, and a click, and a click. If your tool did not just give you the same results that mine did, what you need to do is look up here. Make sure this first one is selected. And make sure this is to none. It might have some different settings, but as long as you come grab that first one, and put that to none, you're going to be good to go. So we clicked, clicked, clicked. You see how this line keeps just going? It's waiting for my next click. I don't want to make another click, so I'm going to hit my selector tool. What's that crazy business? Okay. Guys, I promise just stick with me. I know this is a lot. I know this is confusing, but let's just keep pushing through. You can always go back and rewind and watch again. So this one has a fill on it. We turned the stroke off a minute ago, so now it just has a fill. We want to do the exact opposite. We want to come to the fill, turn it off, and that whole thing disappeared, right? We need to put the stroke on. Stroke, on. Now we have a stroke here, and it's super thick. Let's put it to like a 1.5. Okay, that's something I can work with. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so you can really see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got this funky stuff going on here. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to highlight my Edit Path and Nodes tool. And now I literally can click anywhere inside of this. I'm just going to click right here, and I'm going to drag up. And then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to drag up. And I have formed that part of the M. It does not have to be perfect. Let's do it again to get this part. So come to our Bezier tool, click, click, click. And then you don't have to click out. You can just come right into your nodes and start dragging things where you want them. Awesome, awesome. Now I don't want that curve right there. I want that to be a little more straight. So I'm going to select this bottom node. And look at all these extra things it gives me. I'm just going to straighten that out by dragging it around. Okay. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and do the E so you can watch it happen one more time. The E is going to be easier. Click, click, and done. Let me put one here. So click, click, and done. Now, why am I making all these lines? Well, one, you could just add them to your design, but two, we're going to come and grab this dot that we just had, and we're going to put the dot on these lines so that we don't have to place every single dot. It's really, really easy. Okay, so I've selected my dot. I need it to be on the top layer. I need it to come up above everything else. So remember earlier we were moving things around with these arrows. This one is going to move whatever you selected to the very top. I hit it over and over again just to make sure I got it. I can't tell because it's out here in the white space, but if I bring it over here, I can see it actually is on top of everything. Okay, with my dot selected, I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to select all of these things that we just created one at a time. So I held Shift and I just clicked onto each one that we created. Ready for the magic? Extensions, generate from path, pattern along path. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see. You need to make sure it says repeated. You need to make sure it says snake. Then we will edit these as we go once we see what we've got. Click this one down here, duplicate the pattern before deformation, hit live preview, and all those dots just went along that path. Now this is what I said, we can increase the distance between the dots. Right now it's at 3. If I put it at 5, let's see what happens. It increases the distance. That actually looks a little bit better to me. I'm going to leave it at that. There's some funkiness going on because of the way our nodes were, but I'm going to hit apply and then close that out. And whatever you don't like, you can come back in and delete. Like this one just looks a little funny. So I'm going to draw a box around all of those nodes, hit backspace, and then I can get my selector tool and I can just come put in a regular looking one, right? The same thing here, I can delete these two, backspace, duplicate, get my selector tool, and just put these in where the funky ones were. But that is a quick way to get all of those dots in there rather than placing them one at a time. Once you have all your dots, you can come in, move that out and delete it. Move this out, delete it. I'm just hitting backspace to delete these and delete. Okay, that's the basics for how you're going to do that one. Let's move on to how we're going to do the next one. So this one, I did the same things. I typed in my word and then I created an offset and then I created a bigger offset so I could put the pattern in. And I did the same thing with the dots. I added the little Bezier tools to get all these dots on the sides. I'm going to show you quickly how I did that. But let me show you how I did this background because I did not use a digital paper. I created that background in Inkscape. Okay, so here is this design. I'm going to duplicate it so that we don't run through all of those steps again. I'm going to ungroup this stuff and I'm going to start deleting what we don't need that you've already seen me do. Okay, let me get my letters all together. They're all separate right now. I'm holding Shift. Okay, there's that. So that was my basic text. This was the chunky retro text. And then this was my first offset of the text that I just put behind there. And this was a design I created in Inkscape. So to do it, I'm going to duplicate this and just get that big chunky offset. So get my nodes tool, click on here, control right parenthesis to get my big chunky offset. Get rid of any of these little parts in the middle by coming to path, break apart, and then path union magically disappears. Lovely. Okay, let's turn it white. So I'm going to grab my selector tool down here. Ooh, it disappeared. Let's put an offset on it. Come into my fill and stroke tool, come to my stroke, click the first box. I now have that offset, but it's too big. Let's make it like a 5. All right, that's what I'm going to go with for now, just trying to be quick. Okay, let's get all these little fun things inside of it. So I have increased the size of my page, and I'm just going to use my tools over here, my little shapes. I'm going to grab a circle. I'm going to hold control. Again, let's turn that stroke off. Okay, so let's turn that little tiny circle purple, and we'll stick it over here in our design. Then let's grab a star. Awesome, awesome. And we'll turn that star like, we'll go get the orange. I'm going to use my pen dropper, click on orange, and it turned that star orange. And now let's get a diamond. So I'm going to have a square. Selector tool, I'm going to rotate my square. To rotate it, I just want to click it one more time and rotate till I get a diamond. And then let's turn that diamond green. So while it is selected, get my pen dropper, just click on the green, and it turns that green. Okay, so this is the basic type of pattern. Oh, I had a black dot in there too. Sure. Duplicate that guy. Drag him over here and turn him black. Okay, so that is the basic pattern I used for that offset. Okay, with all of these selected, I'm going to hold shift, select each and everything that I've got going on here. For some reason it's not, oh, I'm holding control. Like, why is it letting me? Shift, shift. Okay, they are now all selected. Get your spray can. Spray, copies, or clones. Now a whole new menu popped up here. I'm reducing the size of my screen so that you can see everything that's happening. Okay. Spray clones of the initial selection, that's what we want. What this means is if I change the color of what I sprayed, it will change the color of everything that I'm about to create. This is the one that you want. If you spray copies, then you're going to have to go in and change colors individually for every single thing that you are creating. So this second one here, we're going to spray some clones. This width is talking about that circle that's right there. It's talking about how big that is. If I put that to 50 and hit enter, then my circle got a lot bigger. I'm going to put it to 15 and hit enter. And now my circle is small again. Amount, this can be anywhere from 0 to 100. I think I'm actually going to drop it to 50. It's just how quickly it goes. Rotation, I do want some rotation on, because what that means is it's going to take the diamond and the star and rotate them as it sprays. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so let's put the rotation at like 10. I don't need a ton of rotation. We do want a little scale that makes some larger and some smaller, so let's put that at about a 10. Scatter, you can just play with all of these, mess with them, do whatever you want. Just kind of play around and get it to looking how you think it's going to be good. Then these are also very important. This first eye, apply over no transparent areas. That means it is only going to apply inside your design. This one, apply over transparent areas. That means it will apply inside your design, outside your design, wherever you want to spray it. No overlap between colors. That means you're not going to have an overlapped design. That is a good thing. And prevent overlapping objects. We do want to do that too. So I've got this eye checked, and I've got this one checked. And I'm just going to take this and start dragging my mouse around. Now look, if I come out here, nothing's going to happen. All right, just dragging him around and filling this up, and it is doing that magic background for me. There's a little editing we need to do. I'm going to increase the size of this. You might need to come in and delete a few of these if they are overlapping your design. If you don't want to delete them, you can just drag them and put them in your design. However it is you want to go about that, that's how you can create that kind of background on your own without having to go find a digital paper. You can make it whatever colors you want. Oh man, that was a mistake, but it looks super cool. You want to group all of this together. So I'm going to drag a box, object, group. And now if I go to put this back in, let me move it up. It's on top of the design. But that looked really cool, what we just did by mistake. And then you can grab all this, move it up, put it on top of the design, add your dots around like I showed you in the first part of the video, put them wherever you want them, and that's it. So clean it up, play around with it, pause, rewind, watch whatever parts you need again, ask me questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer them for you. I did want to cut this off now though because this video is getting super long and no one really wants that. So all right guys, that's all I've got for you. We'll see you next time.